Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Maybe it's something we should have talked about a few years ago. It's either we're all going crazy or they think we are stupid. Why have the banks been secretly buying residential property right under our noses? It's either they're trying to line their pockets and make more money, which I don't think is the case, or it could be something much more sinister. Are they trying to control who gets on the property ladder and who creates wealth through property? And this is what I want to explore in today's video. Think about it. If they can control who owns a property and they can control who stays as a renter for life, they can control who makes money from property, who creates wealth from property, but more importantly, who has the ability to create generational wealth through property. I think there's something much more sinister at play. I think there's something very coordinated at play. And I think it's to do with having control over the average man and average woman in the UK, America and Europe. Look, it's not just me. Many people are starting to see the signs and many people are starting to see the patterns. And for some reason, they were hiding it, but it's now becoming quite clear that they don't care whether you see it or I see it. But many people are starting to see how they are systematically, strategically buying residential property. No one would have a problem if a commercial entity, a bank, bought commercial property, commercial to commercial. We don't care. But when a bank starts to buy residential property, I think it's time that we open our eyes, open our ears, and try and understand what they are up to. So look, let's start with the facts right in the UK. I stumbled on an article, a report from The Guardian, where they said banks and financial institutions have been increasingly increasing their investment in residential property. Now, one of the most notable examples was Lloyds Bank. Now, if you know anything about the Lloyds Banking Group, you will know that they are the largest mortgage provider in the UK. So why on earth have they ventured into buying residential properties directly? If you're generating 50 billion per year from providing mortgages, so you're already getting a slice of the property pie, then why have they indicated, and this was in 2021, that they plan to become the largest private landlord in the UK? And they've stated this. They intend to own more than 50,000 residential properties in the UK over the next decade. Should we be worried? Absolutely. Should you be worried? Absolutely. Because this position, this chess play right here, it will make them the largest private owner in the UK. But more importantly, it will make them the largest and most powerful controller of property in the UK. These are questions we've got to start asking ourselves. Why is the biggest player in the mortgage industry trying to get into direct residential investing? To me, it sounds like an attempt at monopolizing. It sounds like control, because if you can control who buys, if you can control who builds, if you can control who lives where, you have some level of control over their actions. Now, I believe over the next few years, we're going to see information coming out about some of these banks, maybe some of their CEOs, maybe some of their managers, maybe some of their major shareholders. But I believe there's going to be devastating, destructive information that comes out that might cause some of these banks to collapse over the next few years. And I believe if they turn everyone into their customer, meaning if they turn everyone into their tenant, when it comes down to lawsuits, when it comes down to a breach of regulation, when it comes down to you standing up against this entity that's committed all these heinous crimes or broken all these laws or guilty of laundering money, when it comes down to it, the person who controls where you lay your head will control what comes out of your mouth. That's the level of power that I believe that they're trying to have. If they are your landlord, they can simply say, hey, if you testify, if you stand up against us, if you say the wrong thing against us, we're going to evict you. And this is the level of power that I believe that they are trying to have. Because I don't think it's actually about the money. I think it's more about financial control. I think if they have you in their pocket and they are your landlords, they will be able to tell you to shut up. The thing is, this isn't just a UK issue. We're seeing the same thing in America. If we look at people like JP Chase, some of you would have heard of BlackRock before. They've been aggressively buying and investing in residential property. Well, this gets a little bit interesting, and it's a bit embarrassing for maybe BlackRock. In fact, BlackRock have been getting so much backlash with regards to them venturing into the residential space that they've had to put a statement out on their website. And effectively, what they've said is, hey, it's not us. This is a case of mistaken identity. It's not really us. We're not buying or investing in residential property. Yes, you are. Let's look at what they've written on their website. So it says here, BlackRock and housing, setting the record straight. It says, Recently, BlackRock has been subject to speculation, misinterpretation, and even mistaken identity in the media and on social media regarding our role in the US housing market. We want to make it perfectly clear, BlackRock is not buying individual houses in the US. Well, look, unless they think we are extremely stupid, this for me is what some people will call gaslighting, because let me show you why this is a lie. They think we are stupid by making a statement, and if you read in between the lines, what they've effectively said is, we are not buying individual houses in the US. Doesn't mean you are not sponsoring, doesn't mean you are not enabling, doesn't mean you are not investing and receiving a return from other people who are doing so, or people you are partnering with. So let's discuss it. I want to show you, because what the heck is this then, BlackRock? I'm going to read it out to you. So it says here, BlackRock and Outpost UK Residential Partnership adds 462 unit project. A UK residential partnership between BlackRock's private arm and Outpost Management is acquiring 462 unit project in North Acton in London in a forward funding deal. BlackRock, what's going on? Okay, cool. You're not buying it yourself, but you've just partnered with somebody who's building it. Come on. Outpost said that the partnership is buying a 32-story The Castle scheme being developed by contractor Tide. It gets really interesting, guys. This 220,000 square foot residential-led scheme, due to be open in summer 2025, will feature 462 co-living apartments with 18,000 square feet of amenity space across 5 floors. Woohoo! This is where it gets a little bit interesting. Troy Tomasic, the founder and CEO of Outpost Management, expressed enthusiasm for the acquisition, stating, acquiring this fantastic development not only continues our valued partnership with BlackRock. Come on, guys. This is what I'm saying. At some point, they're just doing it right under our noses. They might deny it, but the data, the information is right in front of us. The founder who they've joint ventured with or partnered with, Troy Tomasic, as you can see, he said, acquiring this fantastic development not only continues our valued partnership with BlackRock, but also aligns our mission to lead the market in innovative living solutions. The castle will offer new homes and rich amenities, fostering a vibrant community in Acton. So who's lying? And why are they lying? Because if they just wanted to buy residential property, they can say, hey, we're buying residential property. So why are they gone specifically on their website? You can check this yourself. Why have they specifically gone out of their way to try and fool us to say, we don't invest in individual units, but here's 462 individual units? It only takes 2 seconds of research to see that there's something sinister and something coordinated going on here. Here's another investment BlackRock has made. The real estate and infrastructure arm of BlackRock has now invested 18 times in the UK residential sector, with over 1.1 billion so far committed. So again, BlackRock, what the heck is going on? Please, whoever's in charge of your PR, whoever's in charge of your marketing, please go on your website and update this to we are lying. It says here the 3,000 home portfolio includes properties in the Northwest, the Southwest and Yorkshire. BlackRock said most have been completed and purchased in the last 3 years. So what we're saying is in the last 3 years, BlackRock, who specifically told us that they don't invest and buy individual residential homes in the US because they thought they were smart with their words, but what they've done is they've taken that money and they're investing in the UK. So technically they weren't lying. Technically, that's not a lie. We don't do it in the US, but we come over to the UK and we spend over 1.1 billion in investing in individual residential property. They said here, BlackRock said most have been completed and purchased in the last 3 years and comprises of semi-detached houses, terrace houses, purpose-built flats and detached homes under different social housing schemes. It's either they think the general public are blind, stupid, or they are intentionally trying to gaslight us so that we don't get prepared for what's about to come. And it's often the same. If they can slowly introduce a new way of living to us, then we all accept it. Look, it gets even crazier. The Wall Street Journal highlighted that these purchases were part of a broader trend for institutional investors, making up around 15% of homes being bought in the top US market. This has got to raise some flags. This has got to raise some concerns. This has got to make some people think, what the heck is going on? It's not just UK, it's not just US, we're seeing the same thing in Europe. If we look at Deutche Bank, their real estate arm, DWS, is also aggressively buying and investing and managing real estate property. Similarly, in Denmark, we're seeing the same thing. Banks increasing their holding in residential property. So is there something sinister going on? And some people will say, well, it's just banks being banks. Banks are just trying to make money. That's what they do. They've got to make money for their stakeholders, their shareholders, their bonuses. I don't think this is about money. The data suggests this is not about money, and it can't be about money. It's more about, can they control who gets on the housing ladder? Can they control who gets on the property ladder? Can they turn this country and the entire population into a nation of forever renters? Look, let's consider the financial logic of, or maybe no logic, of a bank buying residential property directly. Bear in mind that banks traditionally have made their money by lending, so they generate interest. So let's do a comparison. For example, if there was a £200,000 family home or a residential property, if the bank was to provide a first-time buyer with a £200,000 loan to get on a property ladder, let's say at a 4.5% interest, the bank would generate around £134,000 over a 25-year period, which is a lot of money for not carrying major risks, for just doing what they've been choosing to do for the last few years. So it's relatively low risk and high rewards. So let's compare the bank buying versus lending the money. So they lose out on the £134,000 low risk money, and that's really important because the bank are not looking for major exposure. So if they buy this £200,000 property for themselves to become the landlord, then they're exposed to all the risks associated with being a landlord. So for example, tenancy issues, management issues, and just the general complexities of being a landlord, especially in this new Labour government. Is it a wise decision? Absolutely not. Taking something that has traditionally been low risk, you've turned it into a high risk proposition. You've increased your risk level tenfold. Who in the bank is signing off on this? It makes no sense. So why would the bank prefer higher risk? My simple theory, and you may disagree with me, but I want you to lift up the bonnet and see what's underneath. My simple theory is it's control. By owning a significant position in the residential housing market, banks can influence prices, they can influence who gets on the ladder, they can influence policies, and they can get politicians in their back pocket. It's all part of a broader, greater economic control. Some of you may have heard of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and you've probably heard this before, maybe being thrown around left, right and center. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Can you see how that's becoming manifest and that's coming into fruition? If the banks buy everything and the large organizations buy everything, then you will get to a place where you're happy to rent, not own anything, and you'll smile and you will carry on because they would introduce it in such an insidious and simple way that all you can do is say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. That's the control that I believe that they're trying to have over us. But the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, also a prominent member of the WEF, his company, BlackRock, with the amount of money they're investing, starts to show there is a global attempt at controlling what goes on in the residential market. And there is a global attempt at getting the average mums and dads, the average person, average first-time buyer, the average individual, the working class, to become subservient through this level of financial and accommodation control. There are things that we need to really consider, and maybe a few things that we've got to question. Whose money are they going to be using to buy these properties? Because if you understand how the banks work, you take your money, you walk to the bank, they spent millions and billions of pounds to persuade you that the bank is the safest place to put your money. They give you a measly interest rate to leave your money in the banks, and then they use your money to lend to other people at a higher interest rate. Is it going to be your money that you've worked hard for, stashed it in the bank, for one day to get on the property ladder that they're going to be using to buy properties and therefore cause you not to be able to get on the property ladder? Will your fund that you've saved in their bank be the reason you can't get on the property ladder? And these are the questions we've got to ask ourselves. And these are the questions we need to ask them. And these are the questions we need to start making noise about, because you will own nothing and you will be happy. And they will use your money to make you own nothing. And that's absolutely crazy. You will own nothing, they will own everything, you will be happy, and they will use your funds to own everything and you will still own nothing. That's my interpretation. And then we've got to consider maybe the most important point. If banks who control your access to buying a property via giving you a mortgage are now your competitors, then will they stop allowing first-time buyers to pass the affordability criteria to get on a property ladder? But what happens if we get to a place where you are competition with a bank? Will they decline your mortgage application to make sure that you can't buy that property that they earmarked for themselves or for their pals? Are we in trouble? Is there a global plan to buy all the residential property and keep us as a nation of renters? And what I envisage over the next few years is that nearly 30, 40, maybe 50% of residential homes will be owned by institutions, financial companies, or banks. These numbers are scary. They pose a significant threat, but all it does is evidence that there is a concerted, intentional effort by financial institutions to secure a significant and substantial holding in residential property, but for what purpose? That is the question I leave you with. Are we all pawns being played in this global economic home ownership chessboard? And if so, do we actually have any power to claim back some power? This is not to be ignored. Share this with your friends and family. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section.